So you might have heard the story we had on Good Day Chicago recently about a mother in Texas that developed an app that parents will love and most kids will really hate. It's called Ignore No More, and it gives parents the ability to lock a child's cell phone if the child ignores mom or dad's calls. But the question this morning is that really a good idea? And joining me this morning is clinical psychologist Dr. Elizabeth Lombardo to discuss. How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
Good. Terrific.
Good.
It's always good to see you.
Always good to be here.
So you heard about this. This woman in Texas, she was so sick and tired of texting her kids and getting no response. And then you worry about it. And we're talking about teenagers again, and the kind of trouble teenagers can sometimes get in. And you're concerned. I've been there. I've had situations where my kids didn't respond, and you immediately, within about an hour, you're thinking the worst, right? So she comes up with this app that allows the phone to be locked down, and there's only one way they can get out of it, and that is to press a certain button, a certain pad or keypad or whatever, and then they can call mom and dad. So is this sound good or what?
I think this is a great idea.
Yeah.
Yeah. And here's why. Parents are in charge, so they get to have more control over the phone. If the parent is paying for the phone, they get to choose the rules. And being respectful by responding to a message from mom is a good thing. It's teaching your children responsibility. It's teaching your children to abide by the rules. And if they don't like it, then they don't really have to have the phone that mom and dad gives them.
Okay. Now some would say, well, can't you just establish sort of the rules of the road and have some sort of rapport and mutual respect that won't get you to that point?
Well, of course, that's the ultimate goal.
Yeah.
The ultimate goal is to say, here are the rules, have them abide by them, and everyone's happy. But to be able to have specific consequences that are aversive enough to the child that they hopefully won't get to that point is very helpful for parents, because a lot of parents feel helpless. What am I going to do? I've asked him to do this. He needs the phone, because if he doesn't have the phone or she doesn't have the phone, she could get in trouble.
Sure.
and need it. So they can still have the phone, the security's still there, but the consequences are in place.
Now, one thing I remember from conversations with my kids about things like this, Dad, have I ever given you any reason not to trust me before? And this trust that you build up with your kid. And I can see where something like this would sort of erode that mutual kind of trust you've got going on.
But you're still trusting your child.
Yeah.
You're not saying I don't trust you. You're saying here's something that will help facilitate your decision, the child's decision, to abide by the rules. You weren't saying I'm not trusting you, and so I'm going to listen to every single conversation you're having and read every single text. That's another conversation. You're still trusting them with the phone and with the independence to use that phone. There are still rules. If I call you, you need to respond to me.
Right. And the whole issue of sort of connecting with your kid as they grow older and giving them, letting out the rope a little bit, but at the same time, staying on top of them and doing your number one job, which is keeping them safe. That's an interesting sort of a dance, isn't it?
It is, and for a lot of parents, it's hard because how much is the right amount? And there is no right amount. We talk about being better than perfect. It's really about figuring out and giving them some leeway. And when they make mistakes, and they're going to, and that's fine, allowing them to learn from that. And again, this app allows them to learn from their consequences without worrying about security.
Got it. So, Dr. Elizabeth Lombardo, it's always good to see you. Any exciting projects coming up we should know about?
Well, my next book, Better Than Perfect, 7 Strategies to Crush Your Inner Critic and Create the Life You Love, is being released September 30th.
Wow.
So go buy it.
Not long away.
Yes.
Thanks for being here. Appreciate it.
Always good to be here.
Always good to
Thanks.
see you, too. All right.